Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Shel Gross, and I would like to introduce Juliana Bennett, running for the State Assembly in District 76. As we begin, I'd like you to give an opening statement as to the educational, vocational, and civic experience you have, which prepares you for this office, and why you are running for State Assembly.
Certainly. Thank you for having me here today, and thank you all viewers for watching. My name is Juliana Bennett. I use she, her pronouns. I am a former Madison Alder, a Northsider, and a housing advocate. My family and I lost our home in 2008 due to the housing crisis. That's why I went to UW-Madison to study real estate and political science. But while I was at UW, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor were murdered. I stood up as an activist and organized with TAA and faculty and staff members to create a more just and equitable society. But I quickly learned that I can scream until I'm blue in the face in the streets, or I can get out and do something substantive. And so I ran for city council. Was elected at 21 years old, and then re-elected as a District 2 Alder. While on council, I legalized duplexes citywide, passed over 1,000 units of affordable housing, and invested in our unhoused and undocumented communities. I later went on to work at the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority as a federal legislative liaison, where I got Derek Van Orden and Brian Stile to sign on to affordable housing bills. And my most recent job was serving in the state capitol as a chief of staff to a state representative, making me the only candidate that has served at a local, state, and federal level. But we need someone that can do more than just operate effectively inside the Capitol building. We need someone that can organize in our city and across Wisconsin. And as the DSA endorsed candidate, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm very proud of the campaign we've built and how it's responding to a real need. My dad was a veteran, and 3 years ago, after experienced cardiac arrest, he was rewarded with a $500,000 medical bill and an eviction. And no one should experience that. So I'm running to solve those deep inequities that exist in our system and push our party to do more.
Thank you. How would you like to see the state utilize the current budget surplus?
Great question. The obvious answer there is to fund our schools. Our schools are significantly underfunded, and anyone that's received a property tax bill knows that it's really hitting us on that end. I do, however, believe that it is important for us to be intentional with our budget surplus, especially during a time of fascism. In the upcoming year, or in 2027, 63,000 Wisconsinites are at very high risk of losing their medical coverage due to Trump and his cronies in the White House. We need to have a budget surplus that responds to that immediate need of folks that might be without healthcare coverage. And that's why I'm more interested in keeping our surplus for healthcare coverage while also creating long-term solutions, not short-term solutions, for funding our public schools by passing the 17-cent millionaire tax, to take 17 cents on your millionth and first dollar and put it into our public schools, which will lower property taxes by 44% statewide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What guardrails, if any, would you support to protect our environment, health, property values, and household budgets from large projects such as hyperscale data centers and concentrated agricultural feeding operations, or CAFOs?
It's a real problem right now. Look, we are spending $2 billion with a B dollars to give Microsoft tax breaks for building data centers that are bulldozing over communities and causing significant long-term harm. I am firmly in favor of taking that $2 billion out from Microsoft and putting it into our communities to build homes for working Wisconsinites. Meanwhile, I it is important for us to pass a 1-year moratorium a moratorium of at least 1 year. However, it is our job as a legislature to pass comprehensive data center regulation. I am firmly supportive of the Control-Alt-Delete bills that Representative Hong has introduced and look forward to pushing that forward once elected to the State Assembly. I am also I'm eager to work across the aisle to get that through, but I will not be supportive of any bill that does not invest in clean and renewable energy system, that does not protect our local communities, and that bulldozes over local control in these decision-making processes.
What, if anything, should the state legislature do to improve election processes and safeguard election integrity?
This is huge. In 2027, it is incumbent upon every single legislator to pass an independent redistricting council. We're coming up on our redistricting process in 2029, and we just got more fair maps. We cannot go back. So once elected, it is a top priority for me to pass an independent redistricting council, one that accounts for the heinous decision that the Supreme Court just made, which has allowed for red states to quite literally erase Black people from within their districts. So taking those measures into account, then making additional change or progressive changes to our voting system, allowing for ranked choice voting, allowing for public campaign financing, because heck, I'm a 26-year-old queer and Black woman. It is really hard to fundraise out here, and we should make it easier for candidates to get into office, not harder. And finally, making it easier to vote with our voter ID laws. We have some of the most stringent voter ID laws in the country. If you're a student, you should be able to use your student ID to vote. If you are an unhoused person, you should be able to use a library card to vote. And with all of those taken into account, just making the barrier to entry to vote easier, but making sure that every single person is represented the way that they should be.
Share with our audience an example of an effort with which you have been involved that demonstrates how you can be effective in creating policy change.
Oh, I love this question. While I was on the city council, we legalized duplexes citywide, which was an effort that unfortunately took 2 years in my second term to get across the finish line. I started out by meeting with the mayor's office, all 19 other of my local alder people, and I created a housing coalition, which some people might know have hosted Madison Housing Week, including AARP, the Realtors Association, and Strong Towns. And it was a diverse coalition that came together around this idea that we should make it easier to build housing in Madison, make it easier to build homes, not just luxury high-rises in Madison. So with that effort, we came upon a lot of stumbling blocks to get it across the finish line. I remember how conversations that I had with the mayor about timing of introducing the legislation because of concerns with not being able to get across the finish line. So I was pushed back more and more. And eventually we passed the bill, and it was just after I had left office. So the bill that I worked so hard to pass, I didn't even get to have my name on it, which sucks, but also to me, it didn't really matter that my name wasn't on the bill. What mattered is that we passed it. And in office, I've worked in the state assembly and know that there's many representatives that are more interested in having their name on the bill than passing something to help Wisconsin. And I can tell you right now, based on my track record, that my top priority is helping Wisconsin, not myself.
What other priorities do you have that we may not have already addressed?
My top priorities for our campaign is lowering property taxes and lowering rent costs, funding our schools, and raising our wages. We touched on each of them. I want to pass the 17-cent millionaire tax to fund our schools and lower property taxes by 44% by taking 17 cents off of your millionth first dollar and putting it into our schools. I want to lower our rent costs by taking the $2 billion that we're currently giving to data centers and use that to build homes for working Wisconsinites. Legalize rent control so that we can have a nuanced process for controlling rents in our municipalities, and passing a renter bill of rights. And as it goes to our wages, $7.25 is criminal. I want to raise that to at least $23 an hour and tie it to the cost of living increases. And I'm saying $23 an hour intentionally because according to the MIT living wage calculator, even $20 an hour is not enough for Wisconsinites that have a family. So all in all, just focusing on those kitchen table economic issues that every day working Wisconsinites are facing. But I would say the thing that I'm most proud of with our campaign is showing up in community. We are organizing in neighborhoods that don't get to meet their representatives. In Darbo, in Kennedy Heights, in Oak Park Terrace on the north side, in Vera Court and Northport Apartments. Places that are low income, deeply Black and brown communities where I'm the first person that has ever knocked their doors. And in politics today, that's absolutely necessary to stop leaving people behind.
What would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete the interview?
Well, thank you for listening to our interview today. As I said, I'm Juliana Bennett, and I want to fight fascism with you. We are in very daring times where we have a real shot at a Democratic trifecta. And dear God, hopefully we don't have Governor Tiffany. I see this seat as so important because we are the most progressive district in the state. We set the tone for progress. The goal of this representative is not to shoot down big ideas, but to create them, organize them around them, and make them a top priority for Wisconsin. That's what we love about Francesca Hong and Chris Taylor, who also represented this district and have moved on to greater heights. And that's what I hope to bring to the table, is someone that will listen, that will learn, and that will represent everyone.
I want to thank Juliana Bennett for speaking with us and thank the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. I want to remind everyone that primary election day is Tuesday, August 11th, and the general election is Tuesday, November 3rd. Every election is important. Please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.